everybody, it's Kathy Champion and welcome back to my craft room here at Random Acts of Crafting. If everybody tuned in yesterday for Bill and Tracy's live, you are familiar with their digital stamps. And this was one of the sets, and I think this one was called, and I'll have to look on my phone to see exactly, I forgot what the name of it was, and I don't have my computer in here. So give me just, this one is just for you. So I thought this one was so cute and I decided that I wanted to work with it. So what I did is I went to my computer, and after I had downloaded my images, I pulled up a program that I'm very familiar with, and I do have the Office suite, and I'm familiar with Office because I used it when I worked. So I pulled up Publisher, which is one of the programs in the Office suite, and Publisher was what I used when I did desktop publishing at the church where I worked, both church in Virginia and also a church here in North Carolina that I worked at. And I was very familiar with manipulating clip art, which is basically what a Digi stamp is. It's an image. So I pulled up my Publisher in the Microsoft Office, and I started building my scene. I knew I wanted this little short mason jar because I thought it's so cute, and I wanted to put the little label on it that said made with love, and these little bumblebees were so cute. So what I did is I dotted several of them around, and I used the program to turn them, to resize them to the size I needed, and I went ahead and copied. After I got it all together, I grouped it, locked it, copied it, and then printed it. Simply, I mean, it's not hard. Of course, nothing's hard if you know how to do it, but that's what I did. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bring in my trimmer, and I'm going to open my arm up. And if any of you did not see my video from earlier, I guess it will probably be yesterday now because it is late Saturday, but it was actually this morning that that video went live, and I talked about my Stampin' Up. So if you have not seen that video, you can check that out. But this is the Stampin' Up trimmer, and this is, it's a large trimmer, and it also has the scoring mechanism on it, but we're not going to deal with that right now. We're only going to be dealing with the cutting blade. So I'm going to pull those both down. I'm going to line this up at 5 1/2, and I am going to slice this in half. Once I get that cut, now I've got 2 of these that I can work with, and I just wanted to show you that there's several ways to work with the Digi stamps and to make a card. The first thing I want to do is I want to cut out some of my pieces, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my cutter bee scissors, and I'm going to cut across here evenly because I may want to use this sentiment. This sentiment wasn't from the stamp set. I just used a font that I had on my computer, and I typed that in. That's the other great thing about using a digital stamp. You do not have to, you can make your own sentiments, which you can do that anyway, but I just thought that was a neat way of doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these off, and I'm going to trim this down about to here. I'm really not measuring, I just want to get the little ladybug off, and once I get the ladybug cut away, then I'll have the sentiment and I can do other things with it. So we're going to lay that over there, and I'm going to lay my ladybugs over to the side. And now I can go ahead and put my trimmer away, and we're going to work on this piece right here. The first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to just cut away my bees. Just like this. And if you have a scan and cut, you can very easily put this on your scan and cut and cut these out. You do not have to hand cut them. Now I'm going to do my best at leaving a little bit of a border around the outside of this jar. Just like that. Now, fussy cutting is not one of my strong suits, but sometimes I do enjoy doing it. So I'm just going to very graciously, hopefully graciously, cut around here and back up around here. And the reason I'm doing this with the little bubble cut is I'm not going to cut out all of these flowers. I'm just going to cut around them, just leaving a little scant border, the leaves. Just like that. And I'm going to start back up on this side of this one and just cut in. You know, so don't feel like when you're fussy cutting that you have to be perfect around every edge. You don't have to. You can if you want to, and if you're good enough at doing your fussy cuttings, you know, by all means, cut as close as you like. But this can look good too, and it doesn't have to be exact. It's just cutting around your pieces, and it leaves you a little bit of white space, and that looks really nice if you're putting this down on a piece of solid or colored patterned cardstock, which is what I plan on doing. I thought it would be nice to use these today and kind of show some of you, you know, how to do this. Now I know Bill and Tracy's going to come out with a video that's going to actually show you how to get in, save, and that sort of thing. But, you know, for some of us that are familiar with doing this, you can pretty much figure out your own way. And that's what I did. Because I was familiar with desktop publishing, I didn't have any problems with using these. Because to me, they're just an image that, like any other image that you would get off of your computer. The good thing about these, you can save them into your Cricut software, and you can have them cut from there. And I think you can put them on a jump drive if you like, and have them cut from your Scan and Cut. And I will try that a little bit later and see if that works. That would be a fun thing to try. But there's that, and I think it's very cute. I think it cut out very, very good. The bumblebees are going to be a little bit more challenging, but not too bad. But what I want to do first with this piece is I want to color. So I'm going to come in. I think I'm going to do this, and I'm hoping that my alcohol marker is not going to bleed. And what I think I might do is try it on one of the bumblebees first to see, because I did hear someone say that you can have some bleeding from your ink. So I'm hoping that's not the case. That's not what I want to happen here. And that looks good. It doesn't look like it's bleeding. I'm going to just color this whole thing. Yeah, that's not bleeding at all, so that's a good thing. I can use my alcohol markers, and I have a HP printer that I printed this from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a light gray, and I'm going to use the side of this paper right here to kind of let me know. Yeah, I think I like that. And I'm going to make the jar top this gray. So I'm just going to come down on these little pieces like that, and then I'm going to come around. This is a nice little, this must be the metallics. Yeah, these are the metallic markers, and this one is definitely silver. And you know how your mason jars usually have those little silver rings on them? Sometimes you can get the ones that look kind of coppery or gold. But mine's going to be silver, and I'm just going to just color that up like that. And there, that looks really cute. So now what I want to do is I want to use a gray, and I'm going to come in with this particular gray. This is a very pale, barely can see it type of gray, and I'm going to go in and just color the top of this lid so it's just ever so faintly gray. And I think that gives that a nice color. I'm going to come in here with this one and just kind of blend that a little bit. Okay. Now I want this to look like it's kind of got some water in it. So in order to give that effect, I'm going to go in with my light blue, and this is 425. And if anybody's interested in the Nuvo markers, I do have these available in my store. So if you are in need of Nuvo markers, please check out my store. It's www.randomactsofcrafting. And these markers are super. Now I'm just going to streak it. So it looks like it's got some water in it. Gotta have some water because we got some beautiful flowers stuck in it. It's like some pretty little roses. Tell you what, I think I'm going to go ahead and color this all the way in. And that's the good thing about the alcohol markers. They blend so well, and they're not, they dry so fast that you can actually color without getting your paper wet. Unlike if y'all have used Tombos and you've had the paper to come up, you're putting down too much of the water-based ink, and it does have issues. I'm going to put a little bit higher on this side, and I'm going to come down. So I usually like my Tombos for smaller areas. And this is just my preference. You know, everybody has their own preference, but for me, I prefer to use the alcohol markers, and I love, love, love these Nuvos. Okay, and I think I'm going to go up a little bit higher so it's covering my stems. We're going to come back and blend in some darker color in this to make it look a little more realistic. I'm going to take it up to that line right there. I think that would be a good line. I find these alcohol markers so forgiving, and if you're covering a big area like this, you can come in with a larger tip, just like this. That's the good thing about these. They have your little bullet tip on one end and this larger chisel tip on the other. I very seldom use the chisel tip because I don't always have large areas on stamps to color. But when you're doing a large area like a mason jar, this would be the perfect place to use this. I'm going to just color that down here. Okay, and that's already shaded a little bit, but we're going to do a little bit more because I'm going to grab 427, which is one shade darker than that one. And I'm going to go in around the bottom. You know, water can look a little bit darker down on the bottom because there's more of it. And then just with little circle strokes, I'm going to come up on the sides. And I'm going to leave that top open because I'm going to come back in and I'm going to blend it out with my lighter blue. And this is where you can actually blend these colors to make it look shadowed, but where it doesn't look like you used two markers. And this works really well. So we got that done. So let's go ahead and get some color on our flowers. And I'm thinking some pink and some beautiful spring green on these flowers. So I'm going to grab, these are the flamingo pinks, and this one is called Pink Taffy. And let's look at that color before we commit. That is a beautiful color. So we are going to go with that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and just lightly dab my petals. Just like that. And how pretty is that? I'm thinking I might do 2 pink and a yellow. I think that would be so pretty. Who doesn't love a yellow rose? Although I'm very traditional where roses are concerned, I still love a red rose, but then I'm very partial to red. So let me grab a really bright yellow, and I'm going to grab the middle color, 403, and I'm going to come in and do the same thing. And you know, if you're using the digital stamps, you might want to check with your markers before you start coloring, like I did. Do a little test run and see if you're going to have any bleeding. I think that's a good rule of thumb, you know, before you get started with it and before you commit. Now I'm going to use this Persian lime. This is 410. I think that's the color green that I want. And I'm just going to come in and I'm going to just put a layer of color down on my leaves. I only have a couple of leaves because the other ones are just some little, looks like it might be baby's breath. And I may go over those with just a very faint beige or something very light. So I want to come back with a little darker green. And I think for that one I'm going to grab 413. Yeah, that looks really good with that. And all I'm going to do is just go down the middle of the leaf and then just touch the little lines. You'll be surprised how much dimension that will give you without doing a whole lot. And then if you want to come back with that 410, you can blend it out with that. And see how pretty that looks? And it blends it so well. I love blending colors with these Nuvo markers. They make it so easy to do and such a beautiful product after you finish. Okay, I'm going to go back in with just a little bit darker pink. Let's see, which one did I use? I think I used the Pink Taffy. I did. So we're going to go in with this one, and this is called Dragon Fruit. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to touch up in the middle. And maybe a little bit around the edges. Just putting a little layer of extra color in. And then we're going to come back with that lighter pink, the Pink Taffy, and we're going to blend it. Now you can color these before you fussy cut. It's totally up to you. I kind of got ahead of myself. So put my markers up. So now I need to decide what color do I want this to be. But before I do that, I think I'm going to grab this 472. This is garlic clove. And I am just going to go through these like that, just to give them a little color. And I think I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to run this right through here to look like the top of the jar. Now our jar is done, so we can move that to the side and move on to our next item. So the next item is going to be some of these little bumblebees, and I'm going to color these very simply. They're going to be done. I might even use some tombos on these, so let's grab a bright yellow. And the reason I would choose the tombow for this is we're only going to be putting down a tiny bit of color. So I would come in just like that, color his little body, give him his little yellow stripes, and maybe his little head. Look at him, is he not cute? And we're going to color his wings as well. I'm definitely going to make him just a black and yellow, because what do we think about when we see bumblebees? We think black and yellow. And these are definitely some cute little, fun little bugs. Now, I don't like bees, or should I say bees like me, because they seem like they hunt me down. My husband said he's never seen the like. I can get stung by doing absolutely nothing. And they're painful. But these little bees are cute because they're not going to sting you. They're just going to look cute on your card. And look at that. So cute. And I thought some bees like swarming around those cute flowers would be so nice on the card. So we're not going to use this one, so he's out. But these four we can use. And don't forget, we do have our little, let's go ahead and do our ladybugs. I'm going to grab Tombow for that as well, because we're just going to do it red. And I love this 856. It's one of my favorite. I like it so much I even put a piece of tape on the top of the lid to remind me that it was my favorite red. So very, very gently come in and color these. Just like that. The Tombow markers are nice. Like I said, I love them for small items. So when I have something little that I'm not going to be covering a large space, they work out perfect. But if you're using them in a large space, you got to be careful, because if you're using even a 65-pound cardstock, the moisture from the water-based marker will cause your paper to roll. So if you've ever had that happen, it's a water issue, and it comes from, that's why we use a separate kind of paper when we do watercoloring. And a lot of you did request that I show you how I did my watercolor card, which was this one. So my next tutorial will be me making that card again. Just thought I would throw that out there and let y'all know that I hadn't forgot, but I was playing around with these stamps, the digital, and I thought, okay, let me see what I can come up with these. So I am going to trim him off just like that. And I think I'm just going to kind of trim around so he'll have a little bit of white showing, but that's okay. It's so tedious with the small pieces like this. But remember, with this digital stamps, you can make your bees. Please don't look at my manicure. I need to do my nails, and that's going to be on my agenda before I go to bed today or tonight. So I'm going to cut around this just like that. And I am going to go off camera and cut the rest of them out. I think it'll be a little too tedious for you to watch me trim out all of these little bumblebees. So we'll close and I'll be right back. I am so sorry, folks. I looked up and my camera was not recording, and I know that I pushed the button, and when I pushed it again it said it could not record. I had to wiggle my SD card and now it is recording. So I do apologize for that. What I have done is I cut a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of this cardstock, and I made a card base. I'm not even sure how much of this I got, and I won't know until I go to my editing. But I cut this at 8.5 by 5 1/4 or 5 1/2. 8.5 by 5 1/2, scored it at 4 1/4, and I cut this at 4 by 5 1/4, so that's gonna live right there. And I got all of my little bumblebees cut out. I am so sorry that happened, but I don't want to go back and have to redo the entire video for that little blunder. So I'm going to try to go back over everything that I did. And I'm putting my pen back in my glue. I heard somebody yelling at me. So anyway, I put dimensionals like this and these smaller ones on the back of my little jar, and I glued it down onto my piece. That's as far as I had gotten when I realized that it was not recording. So, and this piece of paper came from a pack that is in my store called Dots and Stripes, and this is a beautiful pack from Echo Park. You get 24 double-sided sheets in here, and one side is polka dot and the other side is a stripe, and they are diagonal stripes, which are gorgeous. So I just wanted to let you know what products I was using, and also the card base. I have this in my store as well. This is the Rouge by Brutus Monroe, and I did make my card from that, so my card base. And again, I do apologize. I had no idea that it was not recording. But anyway, I am going to use my glue to glue down my little ladybug onto my jar. And I'm just going to put glue on this one side because I want it to be hanging off of the edge just ever so slightly, like that. And I think that gives more, even gives dimension as well. So I know I have some smaller little dots over here. So I'm going to try to find some of these tiny ones. Like, I think I have some that are even smaller. These are smaller. And I am going to pull some of these up and see if I can get them to fit on the back of my little bumblebees, because I do want a dimensional on these. I think they'd be so cute if they're popped up just a little bit, and that's going to work. I think we will be able to do that without them being seen. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to put these on, just like that. And that, and then one more, just like that. And now we're going to pull off our backers, and then we're going to place him down. So I want this one to look like he's going to land on the jar top. And then we're going to do this one, and he's buzzing around up here, maybe about there. And then this one, it's going to be buzzing right here. And then we're going to have one more that's flying off over here on this side. These are just too cute. I love that. I love those little bumblebees. They're so cute. Okay. Now we need to do our sentiment, and I am trying to decide if I want to stamp it on this, heat emboss it, or if I just want to heat emboss it directly onto here. I'm thinking I'm going to heat emboss it just directly down on here. So, I'll tell you what, let's do that. I think it'll look pretty stamped on the striped paper. And we're going to stamp it in black and heat emboss it in black. I think that's going to be very, very stunning like that. So let's get our VersaFine Black Onyx. I am going to go ahead and grab my embossing powder, so I'll have that ready to go. I'm going to use my powder tool so that we don't get extra residue on there, and I've got my coffee filter. And I am going to use I'm going to use the Brutus Monroe Raven. Though I am so in love with the Brutus Monroe embossing powders, they are excellent, and they have become my favorite embossing powder as of late. So, and I also have those in my store in case you would like to pick some up. You're going to see how beautiful this is once we stamp it. So let's just go ahead. And this little stamp says, "Don't worry, be happy," and how appropriate on this little card with the bumblebees. So I'm going to stamp this down right here. And I'm going to give it time enough for that ink to absorb into the, oh, I forgot to use my powder tool, y'all. Oh well. We're going to hope we don't have static on it. There we go. So we got that stamped, and it looks beautiful. So now I'm going to take this over here, and I am going to very gently, that didn't look very gently, did it? I am going to emboss that ink. Oh, that looks beautiful. And when we take the heat tool to this embossing powder and we get that beautiful shine, it is going to be gorgeous. Now, don't keep the coffee filters after I use the black, because the black is, I mean, if you get that on anything, you are going to have a mess. So I usually throw my coffee filter away after I use the black. I'm going to heat up my dime for about 30 seconds. So give me just a moment. That feels plenty warm. And now we're going to do the magic. That is beautiful. Look at the sheen. Are y'all seeing that? It is so pretty. Alright, so now we're going to use some glue, and the reason I want to use glue, just making sure that that is completely adhered, and it is. I am going to use glue because I want to make sure that I get this down as nice and flat to this paper, or this card base, as possible. So we're going to just really put a good amount of art glitter glue on the back of this. And you know, this would be just a nice little uplifting card to give to a friend. It's just so many things that you could do with this card. With these images. So, you know, if y'all did obtain some of these Digi stamps, give them a try. This has been so much fun, and they work beautifully. And y'all be sure to be on the lookout for Bill and Tracy, because they're going to show any of us that don't know how to use them. or might be confused as to how to use these, they're going to do a tutorial on it. I just wanted to do a tutorial on the cuteness of the stamps, so I hope y'all enjoyed that. I am going to put a piece down inside, and I think I'm going to use a piece of this, and I'm going to stamp a sentiment inside as well. So I'm going to cut this piece down. Might as well use the whole piece. I'm going to cut this down to 5 1/4 right there. And y'all, I did not think I would find a trimmer that I liked as good as my Cricut trimmer, but I am going to make my Cricut trimmer now my chipboard trimmer, and I am going to be totally dedicated to this one. I love it. I love the way it cuts. I love the fact I can score with it. The scoring works wonderful on the cards. Look at this. It is just, it's beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is I want to find a sentiment, and I think I found it. I'm going to put Bugs and Kisses, because we did have bugs, and I think Bugs and Kisses would be so cute in the middle of this card. And we already have the Don't Worry, Be Happy. So this would be such a cute card to send to a friend, a relative, you know, maybe just somebody you felt like needed cheering up. I just think it's turning out so cute. And this little stamp set, I do not even remember where I got this, but it was just a tiny one, and it was, like I said, I don't know where I got it. I have no clue where. I picked this up at some store at some point, but I don't remember where. But I've had it for a long, long, long time. Bugs and Kisses. And now that did not come out perfect. I should have off-stamped it on something else, but I'm going to show you how you can fix that. If you got a black Sharpie, and this is the one with the fine point, ultra fine point, I would advise to put on bifocals or something if you're doing this, because it will help you see, unless you got really good eyesight, it will help you to see exactly where you need to fill in. But I can go back through here with this and just fill my stamp in. Just like that. And missed a place right there. There. Now that looks wonderful, and it is ready to go inside of our card. Now I am going to fan it just a tiny bit before I turn it over and put the glue on it. Get my glue flowing again. And now I'm just going to lay this inside, just like that. You could also just put a piece of white cardstock in here and write a personal note. But this would be cute, and I still have room enough where I could write a note over here, I can write something underneath, or I can just sign it and send it. And how stinking cute is that card? I think it turned out beautiful. I hope you liked it. I hope that you will give these Digi stamps a try. And if you do, be sure to post them. You can post them on Bill and Tracy's Facebook page, or you can post it over on Random Acts of Crafting, or how about both? That would be great. So if you got ideas from from my card tutorial today. I'd love to see your take on this card. So thanks again so much for tuning in. Thank you for just always being there and being so supportive. I do appreciate your love and your support. Thank you for all the new subscribers that have come to my channel recently. A shout out to Sheila from Country Girl First for helping to promote me, and so many others that she has helped. And I just thank you. I love you, and as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Lord and Savior. Show kindness to someone today and let someone know that you mean the world to them. Thanks again, until we craft. Bye-bye.